Hey there, this is Ihab. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about the Prezi presentations. Prezi is the name of the platform, and Prezi presentation is kind of a known type of presentations now that offers you a non-linear style of presentation, which means you can go and look at the overall view. Well, you have the main subject, and then you have bubbles that support that subject. So for instance, I have here this bubble. I can zoom in or out, or I can double click or out, double click or out. Inside each of these bubbles, you have a world of information if you want. What makes Prezi a good method for presentations, and what makes Prezi a bad presentation? So there are two types of presentations, generally speaking. You have the linear presentations where you go from slide 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. That is good, but limiting. You cannot jump through hoops. But with the non-linear type, you can always go back and go to different bubbles and change things up. With that said, I am going to show you this Prezi presentation that I use for my hard surface class. And I want to use this as an example of when I think the Prezi presentation is actually needed. So for instance, I have here the lectures. By the way, you can either scroll with the mouse or you can double click. So double click, for instance, it would zoom in, and I can either double click here or zoom in with a scroll of a mouse and go to each of these components. So you can add images, and you can also add GIFs. You can also add videos if you want, but ideally you want to go with GIFs and images, so it would be lighter and more effective. You can go here into each one of these bubbles, and then inside them you can actually layer inside a linear presentation, meaning you go from slide 1 to slide 2 and whatsoever. That is, for instance, the bubble for the lectures. If I go to the material for the class materials, and I talk in general terms about what I want to cover, then I have all of these bubbles, and then I can go to the design, and then in the design I can talk about all of these subjects, and then maybe I want to go into design language or principles and theories, and then I can go into the complexity. And as you can see here, you can always zoom out and stay focused on the general idea if you want, so you don't lose your audience. Now, it's very important to keep in mind that some people feel nauseated when they are just looking at these slides when you go into bubbles, and some people feel like kind of motion sickness. So don't just go into like, here's this and then that, and then I'm gonna go into the principles and then go complexity. You're gonna lose the audience, and also you're gonna make them feel uncomfortable. In the meantime, your mind as a presenter will always be focused, like I'm talking about the class materials related to the design, related to the principles and theories, then the complexity of those principles and theories. So it's also useful for you to keep your ideas organized. In the meantime, you can get a question like, Professor, can you talk about the materials for the week after? You can always zoom out. So you can always go back and say like, oh, lectures. So let's talk about week 6 or week 7 or week 8. Okay, so with that said, I don't want to make this longer. I just wanted to touch on the main idea of when you should consider the Prezi for your presentations, and also to bring your attention this platform, because I've been using it for over 6-7 years, and I found it to be very effective, but for certain subjects. Just keep in mind, if your subject is simple and if you need to go with a linear style of presentation, don't go with something as fancy as Prezi. Notice that I didn't even add background colors, even though I can add a whole lot of stuff, but I didn't because I'm only using this because it's actually effective and not to make it look fancy. Be mindful of the subject and only make it as fancy as necessary. Otherwise, just keep it linear and straightforward. I do have a lot more information that I can share about the Prezi, but I want to make this short and sweet. If you found this helpful, let me know. If not, also let me know so I don't make more content of it. All right. Thank you.